Hello, Taurus. August 19 and 20 carry a quieter kind of significance, not because you need to fear what may change, but because something within you may be ready to see your life with clearer eyes. You may notice restlessness, a stronger instinct to step away from certain situations, or a growing sense that something you have carefully maintained is beginning to shift. August 19 can become a moment of recognition, while August 20 invites you to respond more consciously to what you have noticed. The deeper question is not simply what might change, but whether the stability you have built is still helping you grow or has quietly become a place where you remain because leaving feels uncertain. Taurus, you are naturally drawn toward what feels dependable, tangible, and worth investing your energy into, and that instinct can be a great strength. But even something valuable can eventually need adjustment, and transformation does not always arrive by breaking everything apart. Sometimes it begins with the quiet realization that one part of your life needs more space, less pressure, or a different kind of care. You might sense this through your body, a thought that keeps returning, a vivid dream, or an awareness that a choice you once felt certain about deserves another look. Instead of reacting immediately, allow yourself to observe, because uncertainty can become the soil where a more honest understanding begins to grow. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a garden you have spent years tending. You know which plants need water, which paths you walk most often, and which roots have been there for a long time. But familiarity does not mean everything still belongs in the same place. Some things may need pruning, some protection, and some release so healthier growth has room to emerge. Astrology, tarot, and symbolic reflection can give language to what you are experiencing, but they do not make your choices for you. You remain the one deciding what deserves your time, loyalty, attention, and care. If something in this reading does not reflect your experience, you do not have to force it into your story. Let it pass naturally, and keep what genuinely helps you understand yourself more clearly. But if something makes you pause and think, yes, I have been feeling this, stay with that recognition for a moment. Awareness often begins in that quiet space between what you've been telling yourself and what you already know somewhere deeper inside. As these August 19 and 20 themes unfold, your attention may turn toward love, money, health, family, and the choices surrounding them. Before looking too far outward, though, consider your boundaries, because strength does not mean becoming responsible for every crisis or emotion around you. There is a meaningful difference between standing beside someone and slowly disappearing beneath the weight of what they are asking you to carry. Loyalty can remain part of your values without requiring you to abandon yourself. Your inner world is much like fertile ground. Your peace, attention, emotional energy, and personal priorities are the soil in which your own life develops, and what you repeatedly allow into that space eventually affects what has room to grow. When other people's conflicts, fears, or expectations occupy too much of that ground, you may neglect your own needs without noticing until you feel tired, distracted, unmotivated, or strangely consumed by problems that were never yours to solve. Ask yourself gently, are you supporting someone because it reflects your values, or because you are afraid of what might happen if you stop carrying something that was never yours? You can love people deeply without becoming responsible for their entire emotional landscape. There may be something you have protected simply because it has roots in your life, but not everything with roots still needs to remain exactly where it is. Sometimes creating healthier space is not rejecting what mattered. It is acknowledging that your life is still growing. What once belonged in one season may need to be reconsidered as you enter another. Your dreams may also deserve attention if your inner world has been unusually active while you sleep. You might wake from vivid dreams, remember brief images, or carry an emotion into the morning without knowing where it came from. You do not need to treat every dream as a prediction. Sometimes dreams simply give your mind another language for experiences it has not fully processed while you were awake. Rather than decoding every image literally, notice what feeling remains, what memory it touches, and what part of your present life carries a similar atmosphere. If your surroundings have felt unusually noisy or anxiety has been disturbing your normal rhythm, become more selective about what you allow into your inner world. You do not need to stand in every emotional storm simply because you are capable of handling it. Nature, quiet music, reading, a slower morning, or time away from constant conversation can give your nervous system room to settle and help you hear your own thoughts again. Calm is not an escape from life. It is space that helps you meet life without losing yourself inside everything happening around you. You may also notice subtle changes in how you see yourself or experience your body. Perhaps your reflection feels different, or certain habits no longer seem as natural as they once did. These observations can remind you to ask whether your routines and daily choices actually support the person you are becoming. And this leads to another important question. Where has your life become uneven? With one responsibility, relationship, or goal receiving so much attention that another part has quietly been neglected. Your ability to stay committed is one of your greatest strengths, especially when you believe in what you are building. But commitment becomes draining when you continue feeding something simply because you have already invested so much in it. Around August 19, notice whether your persistence comes from genuine conviction or from discomfort with changing direction. That distinction becomes especially important in your professional life, where one task or responsibility may have received so much focus that other unfinished matters continue occupying mental space. If there is an idea, business effort, application, decision, or piece of work that has remained incomplete, look at it honestly rather than judging yourself for the delay. Perhaps you began with enthusiasm and lost momentum when things became complicated, or reached a difficult point and told yourself you would return later. August 19 can help you recognize what remains unresolved, while August 20 asks what you are actually willing to address, simplify, release, or move forward with. You do not need to resolve everything at once, but you may need to stop allowing unfinished business to quietly consume your energy. The same principle applies to your health. If there is a checkup, appointment, routine, or personal concern you have repeatedly postponed, consider how easily your own well-being gets pushed aside when life becomes demanding. You do not have to wait until your body is exhausted before treating it with respect. Sometimes self-respect is simply listening, while a signal is still quiet and making room for rest, movement, nourishment, or appropriate professional care. Then the focus becomes more personal as you move into love and relationships. For Taurus, meaningful connection is rarely sustained by grand promises alone. It is often revealed through consistency, consideration, honesty, and the small gestures that show another person they are genuinely being seen. If you are in a relationship, ask whether you have allowed your feelings to remain hidden because you assume your partner should already understand them. Even a secure bond needs words, attention, and emotional openness to keep its warmth alive. A thoughtful message, affectionate touch, honest conversation, or simple expression of appreciation can soften a distance that neither person realized was growing. Vulnerability does not necessarily threaten your stability. In the right relationship, it can deepen trust. As August 19 gives you room to notice what you feel, and August 20 encourages more conscious choice, measure your relationships not only by familiarity, but by genuine reciprocity, respect, and room for both people to remain fully themselves. If you are single, there may be room for an unexpected emotional development, but the deeper invitation is not to turn every attraction into a prediction about your future. Someone may catch your attention, show interest, or express feelings you did not anticipate, and your instinct may be to examine every detail before allowing yourself to respond. Instead of demanding certainty before experiencing the moment, consider whether you can remain grounded while still allowing curiosity. Sometimes meaningful connection begins simply by recognizing that something has touched your heart before you know where it is going. Taurus, you may still feel the instinct to understand where something is going before fully receiving it, especially when your heart is involved. But love does not always arrive with a complete map, and sometimes trust means allowing a moment to unfold without demanding certainty about where it will lead. Let yourself be appreciated and notice what it feels like when someone's presence meets you with genuine interest, rather than asking you to earn their affection or decode every gesture. From there, the focus turns toward money and the deeper question of value. You understand the importance of having something solid beneath your feet. But this message asks you to consider what truly deserves your time, effort, attention, and resources. If you've been steadily building something through patience and practical effort, August 19 and 20 can help you recognize what is producing real value, what needs refinement, and what may no longer deserve the same energy. You may begin seeing where previous effort has created a foundation you can continue developing, whether through work, a business idea, a financial plan, or another practical goal. Growth does not mean chasing every attractive possibility. Sometimes it means knowing which one has enough substance to cultivate patiently. Before moving toward the tarot, pause with that idea, because the strongest form of abundance begins with knowing what you are willing to build and why. There is no need to carry forward old numbers or treat a particular color as a guaranteed lucky signal for these 2 days. Instead, imagine deep green leaves, rich soil, and roots quietly strengthening beneath the surface, symbols of growth that does not need to announce itself before becoming real. Let that image remind you that value develops through attention, patience, and repeated choices, rather than through a promise that something external must happen. Beneath all of this, another layer begins to emerge. Your life continues changing, even when part of you would prefer to preserve what feels familiar, and your experiences have shaped your understanding in ways you may only now recognize. You are being invited to look beneath your history and ask not only what happened, but what those experiences taught you about trust, attachment, self-worth, and what you are willing to tolerate in order to feel secure. You may find that an old experience looks different through the eyes you have today. Something that once felt like failure may reveal itself as redirection. Something that created resentment may show you where a boundary was missing. Something once meaningless may help you recognize a pattern you are finally ready to change. This is not about rewriting the past or pretending painful moments were somehow good for you, but about refusing to let an old version of your story decide what you can build next. Be careful about allowing resentment, frustration, or disappointment to settle so deeply that they begin shaping your choices without your awareness. Think again of the garden within you. Even what has grown there for a long time can be examined and pruned, because not everything with roots still belongs in the garden you are becoming. Releasing something does not deny what happened. It means choosing not to spend the next chapter carrying the emotional weight of what has already taught you what it needed to teach. This is where August 19 becomes especially reflective, while August 20 can carry you toward a more deliberate choice about what deserves to come with you. Your grounded nature can help you remain steady while reconsidering what has shaped your decisions, but steadiness does not mean remaining unchanged forever. Ask yourself what you genuinely want when fear is no longer making the decision for you, and let that answer become a quiet intention rather than another demand. From there, the tarot offers another symbolic layer, not as a fixed verdict, but as a way of giving language to choices already forming within you. The first card is the Ace of Pentacles, whose earth-based symbolism speaks naturally to beginnings that can become tangible through care, patience, and consistent attention. Rather than promising that money or success will simply appear, this card asks you to recognize the seed of something worthwhile and consider whether you are ready to give it the conditions it needs to grow. The Ace of Pentacles can represent a practical opening, a promising project, a renewed financial direction, or a chance to establish greater stability over time. Its deeper question is not simply whether an opportunity is coming toward you, but whether you have enough clarity to recognize what is worth accepting. Sometimes the most important change is learning to distinguish between what looks valuable from a distance and what can genuinely become part of the life you are building. The next card is the Seven of Wands, asking you to become clear about what deserves your protection. You may face competing demands, strong opinions, or situations that pull attention away from what matters, but the deeper lesson is not about fighting everyone who stands in your way. It is about recognizing that a boundary can be an act of self-respect, especially when you spend too much time proving that you can carry more than you need to carry. For Taurus, this can touch the difference between loyalty and self-abandonment. You may stay committed long after something has stopped being healthy, simply because commitment matters to you. But the Seven of Wands asks whether what you are protecting still reflects your values. You do not have to become hard or suspicious. You need enough clarity to know which voices deserve consideration, which demands can be declined, and which priorities you are unwilling to keep sacrificing. Then the star changes the atmosphere. After the effort at protecting your energy, this card brings the possibility of breathing more freely and remembering that healing does not always arrive as one dramatic breakthrough. Sometimes it begins when you stop fighting yourself. The star speaks through restoration, renewed perspective, and the gradual return of trust in your ability to move forward, even when the entire path is not visible. If you have been carrying disappointment, emotional fatigue, or uncertainty, let this card remind you that your future does not have to be organized around what hurt you. You may not have every answer or immediate evidence of change, but you can still create conditions where hope has room to return. For Taurus, renewal does not require abandoning your grounded nature. It asks you to let stability become a place from which you can grow, rather than a wall keeping every unfamiliar possibility outside. Then comes the Fool, introducing a different invitation. Its message is not about acting recklessly or throwing away what you have built, but allowing yourself to take a first step when certainty is impossible, because some experiences become understandable only after you enter them. You may prefer to know the terrain before committing, but sometimes waiting for a guarantee keeps you standing at the edge of something that could teach you more than another round of preparation. The Fool asks you to loosen your grip on predicting every outcome. You can carry your common sense with you while remaining curious, honoring what has kept you safe without allowing it to decide every future choice. Around August 20, this becomes an image of conscious movement, not a blind leap, but a willingness to discover what becomes possible once you stop requiring the entire path to be visible. When the reading turns toward matters of the heart, the Two of Cups brings the focus back to connection and reciprocity. This card is less about a promise of a particular person and more about a bond in which two people recognize one another, communicate honestly, respect each other's values, and meet with emotional balance. It can speak to romance, friendship, or an important professional relationship because the central theme is mutual recognition rather than one person constantly carrying the connection. If you are already in a relationship, this energy can encourage deeper understanding. Are you both able to express what you need, listen without becoming defensive, and allow vulnerability to exist alongside security? If you are single, the Two of Cups can represent growing clarity about the kind of connection you want, especially if you are becoming less interested in attraction without substance and more drawn toward shared values, emotional availability, an effort that moves in both directions. The deeper message is that love does not have to compete with personal growth. The right kind of connection can become part of the ground beneath your next chapter, helping you feel understood without requiring you to abandon your individuality. With that question of balance, trust, and mutual care settling into the reading, your attention can now turn toward another place where your relationship with yourself matters just as much: your health. For some of you, August 19 and 20 may bring greater awareness of how your physical and emotional state has been affected by what you have been carrying. This is not about predicting a health event, but simply noticing what your body and mind have been asking for while you manage everything else. Difficult periods can change how you understand ordinary moments, and a quiet morning, an easy conversation, a walk outside, or waking up rested can remind you how much value exists in things you once overlooked. Taurus, you do not have to wait for life to become perfect before appreciating what is already here. If you are feeling well, let that awareness become part of your gratitude. And if you are moving through recovery or uncertainty, give yourself patience rather than turning health into another standard you must meet. Your practical instincts can serve you well when you listen before a small imbalance becomes harder to ignore. You may also notice that mood changes are connected less to one dramatic problem and more to small pressures accumulating quietly. One unresolved conversation, one postponed responsibility, one disappointment you have not processed, another demand placed on an already crowded day. Each may seem manageable alone, yet together they can leave you feeling much heavier than expected. Recognizing that accumulation is part of healing, because once you see what has been weighing on you, you can begin deciding what truly deserves to remain in your hands. Your resilience is real, Taurus. But resilience does not mean remaining under pressure indefinitely. Sometimes strength means continuing, and sometimes it means pausing long enough to notice what continuing in the same way is costing you. As these 2 days unfold, let that awareness become another form of grounded wisdom, especially as you consider where your energy is strongest, where it is being drained, and what you may be ready to approach differently. As you move into work and career, another layer of self-awareness comes forward. You may recognize your strengths while becoming more honest about where you still have room to grow, and that honesty is part of genuine professional development. Instead of allowing a workplace situation to repeatedly disturb your peace or diminish your sense of worth, notice what kind of environment truly allows your abilities to breathe. Whether you work with others or from home, give yourself permission to value what you contribute without constantly measuring yourself against outside expectations. If you have been considering the promotion or salary increase, use these next 2 days to prepare your thoughts and become clear about what you are willing to ask for. You do not have to wait for someone else to recognize your value. If you are seeking new work, remain observant, because useful opportunities may appear through ordinary conversations, information, or circumstances you could easily overlook. Ask for clarity when you are uncertain, and consider which direction genuinely deserves your attention. The path may not announce itself dramatically. Sometimes one practical detail is enough to connect with something you have already been considering. Taurus, when something truly matters to you, you can develop your abilities with patience and commitment. So trust what you have learned while remaining open to learning more. Financially, the deeper question is, what is actually worth investing your energy into? The Ace of Pentacles returns as a symbol of something tangible that could be built carefully. Over time, a project, investment, practical idea, or path toward greater financial independence. Rather than treating it as a promise of sudden wealth, recognize where your previous effort has created a foundation you can realistically develop. Stability becomes more meaningful when it supports growth instead of simply keeping everything unchanged. The star adds a quieter sense of hope, reminding you that your long-term vision and daily choices can move in the same direction. If you've been carrying private concerns about your financial future, give yourself room to breathe while remaining thoughtful about the decisions ahead. The Seven of Wands asks you to keep your judgment sharp, because something appealing may also require more effort, competition, or responsibility than you first realized. You do not need to distrust every opportunity, but you do need to know what you are willing to protect, build, and sustain. When distractions appear, return to your purpose. When competition appears, return to your preparation. And when obstacles arise, remember the patience that has already carried you through difficult ground. If a genuine opportunity presents itself, do not question your readiness so intensely that you overlook it. Let discernment guide you without allowing fear to make every unfamiliar possibility seem unsafe. If a new project, venture, or investment idea comes into view, listen to your instincts while keeping your practical judgment. The Fool invites you to consider a calculated step beyond what you already know. You may encounter something unfamiliar, but courage does not require abandoning common sense. Sometimes it simply means being willing to examine a new possibility before deciding that it does not belong in your life. Now, as we return to love, the Two of Cups brings the focus back to reciprocity and emotional recognition. If you are sharing your life with someone, conversations may become more honest, emotional needs easier to express, and distance between two people may begin to soften. The deeper question is whether both people are willing to meet each other with attention, respect, and genuine understanding. Venus highlights the kind of closeness that feels valuable because it is mutual, sincere, and capable of growing alongside you. The relationship may begin to feel like something deeper than attraction, where shared values and emotional understanding matter more than appearances. Taurus, consider what you really mean when you say you want love, because chemistry can open a door, but compatibility helps two people decide whether they can build something beyond the first spark. Look beneath attraction and emotional intensity and ask whether the person beside you respects your values, understands your direction, and can meet you with the same honesty you offer. If your relationship already feels stable and fulfilling, this energy can deepen trust rather than simply create more excitement. If you are single, you may be becoming more selective, not because you have lost your ability to feel attraction, but because you are recognizing the difference between being desired and being genuinely understood. What you want may resemble a well-tended garden, something with roots, substance, and room to grow, rather than something beautiful, only for a brief season. Family carries a similar theme through the Two of Cups, emphasizing mutual respect, support, and the possibility of restoring warmth where distance or misunderstanding has grown. Some relationships may become easier to approach when old assumptions soften and people listen without immediately defending themselves. The Ace of Pentacles adds a practical layer, reminding you that family stability can also be strengthened through shared responsibilities, living arrangements, resources, or other tangible foundations. The Star brings a gentler possibility of healing where old pain has remained beneath the surface. You do not have to pretend the past never happened. Sometimes healing simply means deciding that an old wound no longer needs to determine every conversation that follows. A meal, a quiet conversation, or simply allowing someone to feel heard can create meaningful new memories without requiring a dramatic event. The Seven of Wands reminds you to protect the peace of your home from unnecessary pressure while remembering that support does not mean carrying everyone else's burdens. Taurus, the energy around these 2 days feels less about forcing movement and more about becoming clear about what deserves your effort. Your attention is moving toward what has substance and what genuinely matters beneath the norms. Persistence remains one of your strengths, but it becomes healthiest when you know what you are pursuing and why. Even strong roots need periods of rest. There are moments when stepping back protects the progress you are trying to make. Rest is not surrender, and slowing down does not mean losing momentum. Sometimes distance gives you enough perspective to see where your energy has been leaking. If you remain intensely focused without allowing yourself to recover, pressure can spill into relationships, health, and concentration. Give yourself permission to pause before your body has to demand it. Your daily habits deserve the same honest attention. Comfort can nourish you, but it can also become a hiding place when you rely on it automatically. Let movement return to your routine in ways that feel sustainable, giving your body room to release the tension that accumulates through repetition. You do not need to punish yourself into discipline. You can care for your physical energy as part of creating a life that feels balanced and alive. For students, this message carries another layer. Do not decide something is impossible simply because it feels difficult, unfamiliar, or larger than what you have attempted before. Limiting beliefs can create invisible fences long before circumstances create real ones. Think of a seed beneath the soil. Its potential is not erased simply because the surface offers no immediate evidence of what is developing. You may be capable of more than you have allowed yourself to imagine, especially when confidence works alongside preparation. Focus on what truly matters, Taurus, because when you stop feeding every distraction, many of them lose their influence. Your strength is not only in how long you can endure, it is also in deciding where your endurance is worthy of being spent. In terms of compatibility, Sagittarius can symbolize a connection that encourages perspective and a willingness to step outside familiar assumptions. Aquarius may bring unconventional ideas that challenge fixed patterns, while Leo can represent warmth, confidence, and mutual encouragement without competition. These are not guarantees about specific people or outcomes, but symbolic lenses for considering what different kinds of connection may awaken in you. Taurus, the deeper message across August 19 and 20 is about awareness becoming choice. Notice what is changing inside you, decide what is genuinely worth protecting, and make room for what can grow without abandoning the grounded qualities that have carried you this far. Astrology and tarot can offer symbols for reflection, but they do not determine your choices. The meaningful moment is when you recognize your values clearly enough to act from them. You do not have to uproot your entire life to create something new, and you do not have to hold everything in place simply because it has been there for a long time. Sometimes growth begins with a quieter decision, tending what is healthy, pruning what has become crowded, releasing what no longer belongs, and trusting that the space you create can eventually hold something more aligned with who you are becoming.